Hello everyone, Trisha, it's me Jenny. It's time for another not naked video response to Trisha Hershberger's series Naked Truth, where we talk as candidly and as truthfully about a subject. As candidly as possible about a subject of Trisha Hershberger's choosing straight out of the shower, no makeup, wet hair, first take, one take, so on and so forth. Most people choose to do it naked, but I choose not to, but either way it's above the clavicle, not sexy time thing type show, because it's a tool for a vlogger to be vulnerable and honest and make sure they tell the truth and all those sort of things rather than a sexy time thing. And this is probably going to be a long, rambly video, particularly with me talking fast, because I have a lot of things to talk about in this one, which is about writing comics. And yeah, so that's a very interesting, large topic, and I don't personally have any experience in writing comics. When it comes to writing in general, as a child I was always kind of a creative kid, the one who wanted to do dance and drama and art and be a theatre person and also do writing and painting and anything that was creative, but I never had either the talent or the genuine passion to follow through on any of those things, and I think you really do need passion in order to achieve anything in a creative field, where despite the problems that you're going to get pursuing something in a creative field, you have the momentum and the willpower to actually push yourself through towards it, because 90% of success is perspiration and hard work, and about 5% of it is talent, and about 5% of it is luck, you know, depending on who you talk to, or depending on, you know, where my brain is at the time of day, or whatever my brain is spewing, those percentages can go up and down, but most of things is hard work. And I never had the passion to do the hard work in order to get skilled. I've always wanted to play a musical instrument. I have never played a musical instrument. And when it comes to writing, I always wanted to be a great writer. And I used to write a lot, particularly during my young teenage years, where I'd, you know, think up these long, complicated, incredibly detailed backstory type epic fantasy things. I still remember a lot of them because I spent a lot of time thinking about these stories. There was one that I wrote that my sisters will know about, which was involving Egyptian gods, and also sort of tomb raiding, and crystals, and I remember the details. I'm not going into them because it was a terribly poorly written story, and I tried to write it and my sister helped me write 1 or 2 chapters and character descriptions. I never actually sat down to pen it because it was kind of a terrible story. Similarly, there was another one which I worked on when I was slightly older, which involved, it was based on a dream that I had. The Egyptian one was based on an idea that I had while in the bath. There was an epic fantasy involving underwater people and gypsies and like weird younger sisters being kidnapped, or was it younger sisters, or was it was like, I sort of remember the details on that one, but that one I really put time and effort into and kept it all in my brain. I actually wrote maybe half a chapter of that one, and that was based on a dream, and I never actually got around to doing it. And there was another one which involved like witchcraft in the Victorian era, and a bunch of girls all representing different elemental magics and them coming together and it being like a kind of buddy fantasy Victorian thing that I always wanted to put together and never did. Again, I think I might have written 1 or 2 chapters, but I never had the forethought to actually follow through. And during that time I had one of my library friends, he wrote an epic novel which was probably only about 100 pages long, but I was always really impressed with that. And really kind of envious that he actually took the time to do it. I never actually read it, and I feel bad for never actually reading it. I'm sorry, Sam. But yeah, he was going to make me one of his characters, but he offered that to everyone who hung out in the library, so, you know, I shouldn't take it too much, but it was weird how, like, impressed I was by his skill to actually sit down and do it. While at about the same sort of time, my twin sister and her friend were writing down pretty much every single battle map from the Silmarillion through to the Hobbit, and Lord of the Rings in avid detail, and writing out maps and just basically breaking down the theoretical knowledge of the Lord of the Rings universe. And I can remember being so impressed by the passion to actually do it, and I never had the passion to do it. I did write a few short stories in sixth form, so when I was late teens, which are actually published in here, because I wrote 2 of them actually, and they're both in here. But yeah, because most people only submitted 1, but I submitted 2, because like witches, you can't be a nerd unless someone actually is aware of you're a nerd. I've been reading a lot of Terry Pratchett, sorry if no one got that reference. Anywho, told you it would be a rambly one today. So yeah, I never really got down to actually writing it. I read quite a few like learning how to write books, The Hero's Journey, and a couple of on really good writing, how to write book stories, but I never got around to actually sitting down to do it. And my sister kind of regularly jokes that if I ever was to go into a creative field, had my creative outlet, I would probably end up writing the equivalent of the Twilight books, because when I actually think about my early forays into writing, they basically were the Twilight books, because I know in my heart of hearts, had I read the Twilight books when I was a teenager, I would preach them to my children, because that is what my brain was writing at that time. So yeah. So the kind of the truth of the matter is that if I were to write a comic book or write a book, it would probably end up in that sort of genre, which I really, like, that genuinely puts me off writing, because, oh god, I don't want to be that person. But I'm also a believer in, like, if you're going to create something, you also have to appreciate it. Like, there's no point in being a dancer if you don't go and watch dances. There's no point in being a composer if you don't go out and listen to music. So I wouldn't want to be a comic artist or a comic book person, because I don't read that many comics. I've read Watchmen, I've read League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, like, those are fantastic. I've read a lot of the Buffy comics and Angel comics, both the ones that came out during the series run and the post one, season 9 and whatnot. I'm reading about 4 webcomics at the moment, but I really don't feel like I read them enough to appreciate them as much as I should. And yeah, so that comes into it as well. And I am not a good artist. I haven't done any art in probably 2 years. Before that I did 3 paintings that I was really, really proud of, but that involved a lot of, you know, I took a picture of myself and used that as reference and used that as a sketch, and then I did a bit of scanning and carefully referenced, like, pictures off the internet, and, you know, copied and pasted and spent hours on shading the tiny little bits to try and get it good, and I was really, really proud of the final result. But I am not good at dynamic pictures, which is what makes up comic books, is the ability to express movement in still images, and I can't physically do the drawing for it. So yeah, that's a lot of words in a very short period of time. The only other time I thought about the concept of maybe making like a webcomic was back in uni, where we were discussing the idea of maybe, like, I was part of the Circus Society, so I was learning to juggle, which I never did. I suck at juggling. I still have a spinning staff somewhere, I think it's on top of my wardrobe, and like all of those sort of things, and we thought it would be a really fun idea to have like a webcomic which was like circus freaks versus zombies. I thought that would be a really fun, like, webcomic type thing, to have, like, you know, end of one run they all get out the flaming spinning staffs and poi and all that, and it would be really cool and kind of dorky, and I thought that would be a really good kind of webcomic idea, because it's a very visual thing. And me and my sister last week we were discussing the idea of, I get mocked for overfilling my day bag. My bag is full of everything. And she was saying it'd be nice to maybe make a kind of indie film or a webcomic on the idea of, like, an apocalypse, maybe not a zombie one, happening, and just a girl who's always mocked for having so much stuff in her handbag actually going through, like, a day in the life using everything in her handbag, but in different ways than you might normally expect. So instead of using lip balm as lip balm, she uses it to, I don't know, get a car running, that sort of thing, or you know, uses her spare scarf as a bandage or whatever. So yeah, lots and lots of thoughts on this subject. I don't have the talent to write, I don't have the talent to draw, so comics aren't really in my thing. I do enjoy them, but not enough to really be impassioned on the subject. And yeah, lots and lots of words this week. I have got a lot to do before I go to bed. I've got some sewing. I've had a very productive day, but the trouble with productive days is you realise how much you have to get done, and there's still always more to do, and I've got to get up at ridiculously early o'clock in the morning. So, thank you for watching. Feel free to comment. I hope things are going better with the house. I hope baby hasn't arrived too early. And yeah, good job, Trisha. Good job, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching to the end. You guys are insane. And have a lovely week. I will see you guys at some point next week. Maybe there might be some other videos coming out. Who knows? Anyway, thank you. Bye.